take to stand on the mound in a Division I baseball game with thousands of eyes on you, the count full, the game on the line, and still trust your stuff? It takes the same thing that it takes to close a real estate deal: the preparation, the discipline, the refusal to flinch. Welcome to Building Places, Tulane Perspective in Real Estate Development, the podcast where we explore the people, projects, and ideas shaping the built environment through the lens of one of the country's most distinctive programs, based right here in New Orleans. I'm your host, John Renne, and today we're kicking off the very first episode with someone I have the privilege of teaching, a graduate student who came to Tulane with a finance degree, a baseball arm, and the hunger to build something bigger than himself. His name is Solomon. He grew up in Baton Rouge and pitched at the Division I level at Eastern Kentucky University. And in just 1 year at Tulane, he's gone from learning what a real estate deal even looks like to designing one from the ground up in his own hometown. And by the time you finish listening, you'll understand why his next chapter isn't about real estate. It's about powering the future. This is Building Places. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm John Renne, Director of Tulane's Real Estate Development Program. On Building Places, I sit down with alumni and industry leaders who are shaping cities, developing transformative projects, and creating the places where we live, work, and thrive. Join us on Building Places. All right, well, Solomon, welcome to the first guest on Building Places podcast, Tulane Perspective in Real Estate Development. You are a graduate student in our program, about to graduate. Before we get into real estate, tell me about your background. Where did you grow up? I know you were an athlete, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm a pretty local kid. I came up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. My parents actually both came to Tulane, so growing up, we used to come down here for football games, events, plays, everything, just my entire life. So I've always been pretty drawn to Tulane. But growing up, I was pretty involved in sports, volunteering, just normal things that people down there do in the South, going outside, hanging with your friends. I was pretty active in sports. I played baseball growing up, so much so to where I played in college at the Division I level, and I majored in finance. And going through that, I was just trying to figure out where I was gonna fit. I didn't know.
Well, hold on. You say you played sports at Division I level. Yeah. I majored in finance. Let's talk a little bit about your sports career, college. Definitely. Where did you play baseball?
So, I played baseball at Eastern Kentucky University, where I was a pitcher. Went there. I had a great time. I learned so many.
Were you a starter, relief pitcher, closer?
In college, I was a relief pitcher. So, coming in after the starter does his thing, and then I go in, I clean it up a little bit, setup guy, with a couple different pitches. So
tell me, what pitches were your best pitches?
So I was mainly a sinker pitcher. So sinkers, the curveball, slider, slurp, everything. A little bit of a changeup too. And at the very end, I added in a splitter.
Okay.
So I had a pretty full repertoire of pitches in there. So
do you still play?
Not really. I've taken a step back since I graduated. I had a lot of surgeries and injuries, so now I'm just enjoying being just a regular person. Living around and no pain.
I bet the high level competition was probably served you pretty well in a career in real estate.
Yes, definitely. It's a very competitive atmosphere, which I've always been drawn to. I love to win. I've always heard that you gotta hate to lose more than you like to win. So that's how I feel.
I like that point. You gotta hate to lose more than you like to win. I love that.
Exactly.
Well, tell me a little bit, like, what drew you to this master's program? How did you end up wanting to do a master's in real estate at Tulane?
So first of all, I've always wanted to get some kind of Tulane degree. That's always been on my bucket list. Just baseball kind of derailed that for a little bit.
Most people don't draw a straight line from a pitcher's mound to a real estate development deal, but Solomon did. That same instinct that kept him in games, reading the batter, trusting your preparation, executing under pressure, turns out to be exactly what separates good developers from great ones. Real estate, like baseball, rewards the people who hate to lose more than they like to win.
But I was actually working in construction at a small firm in Baton Rouge where I was doing some in-office work, and my boss was like, "I've always loved construction, but I've always wanted to do development,"
Mm-hmm.
and that sparked my interest into doing something bigger than just doing construction. And through that, I found this program that seemed to match exactly what I was looking for. That going to like that did the entire deal from the start to the finish, which even involves construction. So I said this would probably be a good thing for me to learn that's adjacent to what I was thinking about doing.
So when you started the degree, and you're doing a degree in 1 year,
Right.
and you're almost about to graduate, like what did you think you would learn versus, like, like what was kind of like a big, did you have any big shifts in your thinking since you started the degree? Like, just take me through the year that you've been here, like when you started till now,
Right.
on the doorstep of graduation.
And so coming in initially, I figured that this would maybe be like a little bit of just like a construction management degree, but a little bit higher. But coming in the summer in this program, it's like a boot camp where you take 4 classes. It's in 2 months, and it's very intensive, 4 days a week, just continuously. And I learned that this is really just another finance degree in a way, And you learn about how deals work, how to model, about sustainability, about the earth, and like how to make healthy and safe buildings that also can bring a significant return. And so that really surprised me that there was a lot more than what I was figuring, but I was so thankful that it offered all those opportunities.
So, I mean, you did an undergraduate in finance.
Correct.
What did you learn anything in this program beyond finance that you hadn't learned in finance as an undergraduate?
Yes. I think learning the entire deal making, like learning like how to go in and acquire land, what to look for, and really for me, the most important thing on the finance side of it, especially, is learning how to model real estate deals and see that you can make significant more returns doing real estate than you can just investing in, in companies or stocks and bonds, or just like regular things. And that really caught my attention, like just seeing like the returns and seeing how many different ways and how to gain equity, and it's so diverse.
Mhm.
It really sparked my interest.
Tell me about a project that you've worked on, and how it may have challenged you and what you learned from it.
I would say a project that has really challenged me, but I'm thankful for, has been actually in your class, my capstone class. So in this in our capstone, the goal is for each student to build their entire project from the ground up, from the start to the finish. And this is the first time that we've done this where it's been the entire project, not just little pieces of it. And I've had problems. So my current project is in my hometown where I'm trying to build a mixed use, planned use development. And I've had like it's a lot more challenging to actually do the full due diligence than what it is just reading it in a book. And being able to go through it entirely and hit some roadblocks and go and ask you about how to fix it. It's been a really cool experience, but I'm thankful that I'm getting it before I go out in the real world and I get stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And just trying to go through that, build my own model from the ground up. It's been awesome.
So in that project, what I wanted students to do is to have the confidence to be their own developer, right? Identify a piece of property and, figure out how to change the zoning if the zoning doesn't fit for what you need. We had a mock planning commission where you guys had to present in front of actual real professionals that serve on the New Orleans City Planning Commission. They give you great feedback. Then we had to go through the financial model, right? And then at the end of class in a couple of weeks, you guys are going to be presenting to like a real life Shark Tank, some, alumni who are going to listen to everyone's presentations and then decide which ones to invest in. One of the things that's kind of new, because it's new for everybody, is the use of AI. Tell me a little bit about your perspective, because I've been pretty encouraging of you guys to take advantage of AI to its fullest capabilities. And so I'm curious, as your perspective as a student, like, what do you think? Like, did it work? Was it a failure? Should I, I'm curious to get your feedback actually. And then this is not pre-scripted. I really want to know your feedback on this.
Yeah, yeah, that's really funny. I think me and a couple of my friends in class have definitely tried to experiment with AI and just see how it could help. AI can't replace any like human decision making or doing like real projects, but just to see how powerful it can be to make you more efficient. And we've tried using things like Chat GPT, which is great. I think it's good for maybe for learning information every now and then, but it doesn't really execute real projects very well.
Hmm.
But if you move to something like Claude or something like that, where you can build an actual model out through that, it's been really amazing seeing how it's advanced, even in this past year, like from last May to now. Just seeing how much more you can do with AI. Can see how this is going to be a huge help to people in this industry going further along.
Yeah. I mean, the way I see it is like, you guys are graduating, you're going to be out in the real world. It's very competitive out
Right.
there, right? I want you to have every tool in your tool chest to be successful, particularly, in real estate development where, the stakes are high. There's a lot of money that could be lost, but hopefully, folks, our alumni will not lose money but make money, right? So, I'm curious, like after you graduate, right, and let's say you're out there now with a job working in real estate development. Tell me, like, how do you think you would, like one of the things, for example, we use AI was to more efficiently and effectively analyze the zoning code. Can you talk a little bit about what you learned from that assignment?
So for using AI to like help with like with those codes especially,
Yeah.
you see all the different options and like and all the little nuances
Yeah.
that it would be so hard to read, especially as a student, and understand off rip and be able to actually use it in your project.
Yeah.
But now using AI, it can go through all the different things and help pinpoint you directly into the area that you need to be. And then you can be more efficient and you can really do your project correctly and one day, make a lot of money doing it.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think in the past, we would have had to consult a lawyer or a seasoned urban planner that's been practicing for many, many years. And now we can kind of get that information so quickly. The tools are changing fast. The fundamentals aren't. What Tulane's program is betting on, and what Solomon's experiences seem to confirm, is that the developers who thrive in the next decade will be the ones who combine deep financial literacy with the fluency to use new technology as leverage. Not a replacement for judgment, a multiplier of it. Tell me a little bit, now that you've kind of getting to the end of the program, what would be like your dream job in your career? 5 or 10 years from now, like what would you like to be doing? And thinking back, to where you are now, like I know we don't always get our dream job day one. And actually that's one of the reasons why we're meeting here is to talk about
Exactly,
your where you're going to go and what your next steps are and what you want to do. But tell me, like what would you love for the ideal entry level job? I mean, we're going to have like literally hundreds, if not, thousands of Tulane alumni listening to this. And, I want them to learn about you and like, what is it that you want to do in the long run? But give a pitch right now. Tell the Tulane alumni why they should hire you coming out of this program next month.
Definitely. So I'll give a little bit of background on why I have an interest in what I like. Is that in about October we were doing a finance class with John Huppy and Rochelle Allen, and we were doing a deal that was an industrial deal, so it was like triple net lease. I thought it was super cool, but then that they started talking a little bit about energy, like solar farms or wind farms, and that snatched my attention very very quickly, and I quickly realized that renewable energy development is the same as real estate development, just with one extra layer of moving the power.
Mhm.
And it's also it's tech, it's new age, and it's always changing. And people like will always need power and energy,
Mhm.
especially with this new boom of AI.
Yeah.
Like in the past 10 years, data centers only took up 2% of our country's energy. Now they're closer to 10. So we need to figure out ways to have energy solutions to like that problem alone, but let alone our entire aging grid of our country. So in about 10 years, I would love to be somewhere making decisions, trying to do renewable energy development. If that's wind, if that's solar, that's geothermal, anything. I just want to be able to make a difference, and actually use energy.
Hi, I'm John Renne, Program Director for Tulane's Master of Sustainable Real Estate Development. Our interdisciplinary MS Red program prepares students to lead at the intersection of real estate, finance, development, planning, sustainability, design, and artificial intelligence. With live online evening classes, nationally recognized faculty, and immersive field experiences, students can learn and earn their degree while continuing to build their careers. If you're ready to take the next step, we'd love to hear from you. Learn more at Tulane University.
That's a career for me.
That sounds phenomenal. I know some people working in those areas, and so we'll reach out to them. And hopefully, if anyone's listening and is working in that industry, certainly reach out. Tell me a little bit about some of the trips that we've done this past year. I think there were 3 big trips that you went on. So tell me a little bit about each of those trips and what you learned from those field experiences, because that's kind of an important part of our program. We like to get students out there in the real world and seeing real projects, meeting real developers, folks working in the industry. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. And that was one thing that actually caught my attention a lot about this program, hearing about the trips and field studies that we do, the urban field studies, is that so at the end of the summer semester, we took a trip to Washington, D.C. and to Philadelphia, where we met with people in D.C. We met with people in the government, the housing authorities, other companies, people that worked in like transit, like SEPTA is in Philadelphia, but same thing there. And we just kind of went there and we met a lot of people that were Tulane alums and people who even weren't, but that were just in the real estate space from many different angles in those areas. And that was some of my first time actually talking to real people that are making money in the real estate profession, that are actually, making changes, and their people are looking to them in their cities, their areas, and they're very important people. We also did the same thing in San Francisco at the end of the fall, where we went and we saw some developments that Tulane alums are doing, and other people who even are from Tulane. And we got to learn about that and see California and just see different markets in the country, because San Francisco is much different than DC, as is.
And that was with the part of the ULI conference.
Correct. Yeah, that was for conference, which we also went to that. But I think the tours were my favorite part of that trip, for sure, sure. And then also we had a trip to Miami this spring, to where we also met a lot of Tulane alums as well that were doing developments, and we also had a chance to meet them and talk to them and pick their brain one-on-one to understand how they got to where they got to, and to also get some feedback on our careers and where we should go. But yeah, those trips have been a ton of fun. The school has been very helpful into being able to put us in front of as many people as possible, which I definitely I'm thankful for.
I'm curious if there was like any kind of a moment or a project that you were working on where you just kind of had a kind of a sense of where things just kind of clicked for you. And I'm curious if that happened, and if you could just kind of describe maybe something like.
I'd say the moment that things clicked for me was in the fall. I was in it was in the finance class with John Huppy, and we had a project that we had to do our own LIHTC, which is a low income housing tax credit deal, from scratch. And I remember being so confused, because I was like, man, I have a finance background, but this stuff just makes no sense to me. And I went and I met with them, and we talked about it, and then eventually it clicked to me like Legos, and I knew it was like, okay, this real estate thing, I can do this,
Yeah.
and making it work and just like trying to figure out these complex puzzles. It was just really like, it was the moment that I knew that I'd made the right decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were, having a conversation with somebody who was thinking about doing, a degree, going and doing a master's in real estate development, like you're doing, versus maybe an MBA, what would be a good reason you would tell them to think about doing the real estate degree?
I would say a good reason to do this is because real estate is everywhere. And there's so many different kinds of real estate, which I didn't even realize. And that anybody can do it, big or small. It's pretty much the same fundamentals. It's just how you choose to do it. And I think what I would also tell them is that this being so modeling and finance numbers heavy, you don't even need to have a finance background to do well in this program. There's people in and even my cohort who have all different kinds of backgrounds, and they come and they get the basics that they need early in the summer, and you just see them thrive and they grow so much. Like it's incredible to see.
Like you had a finance
I
degree,
did,
but
right?
you're saying that if you didn't, you'd still be able to get
Yeah,
caught up.
you'd be perfectly fine. I think if you just take that take that boot camp at the beginning seriously,
Yeah.
you'll be just where you need to be to eventually come out in May, and you'll be a perfect real estate professional, I believe.
There's a lot of great programs around the country, great
Yeah.
universities that offer real estate programs. Why Tulane? Why come to Tulane as opposed to, any of the other ones out there?
Well, first of all, Tulane's in the best city in the country. I love New Orleans. It's a beautiful campus. It's a beautiful building.
What do you do? And what do you love about New Orleans? What do you enjoy doing when you're, when you're not studying and working?
I've come here so much growing up, but I'd say my favorite thing is just going to walk in the park and just like seeing like St. Charles around this time in April and May. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Great weather. The food's the best in the country. I
Yep.
mean, can't beat that. I mean, and just the culture of Tulane, how it's rigorous, but people here they like to have a good time, and I'm about having a good time every now and then. So it's just like an awesome culture. It's never too serious, although people here are really doing their work.
Did you get into Tulane sports?
And of course, I've always been a fan of Tulane sports since I was a little kid. I remember going to games when I was 6 and 7 years old and cheering them on, even when they were terrible. But now, luckily, they're especially in football, they're getting a lot better. They're making some national attention. They're in the playoff this past year. So
So, what advice would you give somebody who's thinking about starting day one of class? That's going to be in your shoes in a year from now or 2 years from now, however long it takes to graduate. What do you give to someone who's just starting the program?
just be open. There is going to be some things in class that you're like, oh, I don't care about that or so and so. But if you just be open and you listen, you're going to hear something. You're going to learn some facts that you had no idea about. And if you just take your time and you observe it and you just really just jump in the water and go all the way in, you will learn so much information that will really help feed into your interest and figure out where you want to be. But just don't be afraid. Go do it.
Awesome. Well, Solomon, I hope in 5 or 10 years from now, I could bring you back on the podcast, or maybe not even that long, right? Maybe in a year or two, but see how your career is progressing, and that you have that perfect job working in the energy, renewable energy space. But I've enjoyed having you as a student in my class, and I want you to know, and I think that all the alumni probably would say this, is that all of the professors, all of the alumni out there, we all want to see you succeed, and we're here to help you. And so we're going to try to make that happen for you to achieve your dreams and your goals. And yeah, I know that you're going to do great things with your career. So first of all, thank you for being guest number one. And thank you for being a great student. And we'll check back in on the podcast after you land that first big job.
All righty. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Hi, I am John Renne. Every great project has a story behind it. On Building Places, we explore the careers, lessons, and experiences of Tulane alumni and industry leaders working in real estate, architecture, planning, and development. Listen wherever you get your podcasts. Solomon came to Tulane with a suitcase full of discipline from a life in competitive sports, a finance degree from his time in Kentucky, and a hometown he never stopped thinking about. He leaves with something harder to teach: the confidence to see a piece of land, imagine what it could become, build a model, navigate the zoning, pitch the investors, and execute. It's what this program is designed to do. It's what this podcast is designed to show. If you're a Tulane alumni working in real estate, energy development, or any corner of the built environment, you heard yourself in Solomon's story. Reach out. He's the kind of person worth knowing early. And if you're someone who's been thinking about a master's in real estate development, or you're trying to decide between an MBA and a specialized degree, I hope this conversation gave you something to chew on. Real estate is everywhere. The deals are complex, the returns are real, and the people doing it, well, they come from everywhere. New episodes of Building Places will feature developers, investors, urban planners, alumni, and the occasional student like Solomon, who reminds us why we do this work in the first place. Subscribe whenever you listen to podcasts. And if this episode was valuable to you, share it with someone who's trying to figure out where they might fit in this industry. Because sometimes all it takes is hearing one story to know, I can do it too. I'm John Renne. Until the next time, keep building.